across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh my God, there you are. It's Friday, the weekend starts here. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be with you for 3 hours of breaking news, challenging views and topical debate all the way to 10 o'clock. Get it off your chest, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. That's 0344 499 1000. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. It is Friday, August the 1st, the start of a whole new month. Here's what's coming up. Of course, we need to talk about the soaring number of foreigners serving sentences in British jails for sex crimes, most of them among the thousands of young males who break into this country illegally, and for some unknown reason we allow them to stay. Men from countries and cultures with very different attitudes to women. Of course, we need to talk about the disastrous migration policies that are causing a rising tide of fury across the country as hotels are turned into accommodation centres for asylum seekers that taxpayers are forced to fund to the tune of billions of pounds. Of course, we need to talk about 1 year of two-tier Keir's catastrophically incompetent regime that has turned Britain into a nation that is falling apart at the seams. But here's the thing. For how much longer will this tyrannical administration let us talk about these burning issues? Unable to solve the plethora of problems Keir and his useless crew have created, the government is adopting increasingly sinister methods to ban concerned citizens from discussing them or finding out just how bad things are. Like the East German Stasi, like Stalin's KGB, Starmer has launched a terrifying crackdown on free speech. Our supreme leader has even set up a spy unit snooping on what people post on social media. Mention the migrant crisis or the asylum seeker hotels, and the chances are the Whitehall Jackpoot Squad will report you to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram or whatever your favourite site is to get you shut down. Criticise Labour and you're in trouble. Look out, folks. Big Brother is watching you. 03444991 1000. In other news, Nut Zero lunatic Ed Miliband's deranged eco-mania and his absurd shutting down of the North Sea gas fields has resulted in a massive surge of gas imports, particularly from Norway. And this surge could cost us 20 billion quid. Who will rid us of this unhinged madman Miliband? 0344 499 1000. And finally, the marvellous news that the Muslim baroness who slammed the Manchester airport cops and compared their actions to the killing of George Floyd is advising the government on its disturbing pursuit of a new definition for Islamophobia. Another attack on free speech, by the way. Isn't that special? 0344 499 1000. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday night together, and it being Friday, my Friday friend, political strategist Pete Barnes is in the studio. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Kev. How's it going?
All right.
Are you ready for D-Wing when we eventually get arrested? Because it's a matter of time.
Yeah, well, this show could be in trouble. I think I'm going to be in deep trouble the way this government's going.
Yeah, it really
I think it is the big story. You know, as I said in my monologue, of course, we're going to cover all these big issues. You know, the migrant crisis is out of control. The asylum seeker hotel situation is igniting. I mean, it's exploding. This weekend there will be protests all over the country. Last weekend, for example, when one of these demonstrations unfolded outside a hotel in Leeds, Those wanting to watch this, online, on Twitter or whatever, went in to try to watch this film. It was blocked. It was blocked because of the Online Safety Act. Katie Lamb, the Tory MP, the redoubtable Tory MP, made a speech in Parliament worrying about the increase in sex crimes, linking that to the asylum seeker crisis. That was blocked. You couldn't watch it because, according to the Online Safety Act, it included harmful content. This is really, really
it
worrying.
Really is. Parliament censored, protests censored, political debate censored. I refuse to call it the Safety Act. It's the Online Control Act, without a shadow of a doubt. But what's concerned me the most is we have been banging on about this for some time. I was in very public spats with Paul Scully, who was one of the ministers, who's a Conservative, who pushed this through. Paul. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, that's it. The Tories started
We
it.
warned this would happen, that you gave this power to people who want control. What was it? Ronald Reagan said, there's nothing more dangerous than somebody who says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. The next most dangerous phrase is, won't somebody think of the children? It is used so many times, this kind of protection. We've got to make sure everybody is safe from harm. Harm, meaning what exactly? It is so vague and it is done deliberately. It's mass surveillance. And more importantly, this is digital ID via the back door. This is ID cards via the back door. And it is very
not so much. It's just that we're going to be banned from seeing information. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. We should have free access to footage of these asylum seeker process if we want to. But no, that's closed down. Basically, anything. It looks as if anything that puts the government in a bad light may fall foul of the pervasive clauses of the Online Safety Act. Now, when you saw that idiot, Peter Kyle, the Science and Technology Secretary, on Sky News earlier this week, saying, no, it's just about the safety of children, protecting children from the horrors that lurk online, pornography, violence and all that. He was lying. He was lying. And as Pete says, he's evoking the protection of children. And of course, he said anyone who objects or has suspicions or criticisms of this Online Safety Act, like Nigel Farage, like Pete, like me, like millions of Brits who are interested in free speech, he's basically said, you're on Jimmy Savile's side. You are encouraging pornography for children. That's absolutely a crock of crap. Do not let this government get away with this. This is outrageous. This is Orwellian. This is censorship. Unless, Pete, you have any doubts what this act is all about, here's the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, talking about his plans to deal with social media and online behaviour.
In relation to online and social media, the first thing I'd say is this is not a law-free zone. And I think that's clear from the prosecutions and sentencing. Today we're due sentencing for online behaviour. That's a reminder to everyone that whether you're directly involved or whether you're remotely involved, you're culpable and you will be put before the courts if you've broken the law. And so that's happening today, that sentencing. I do agree that we're going to have to look more broadly at social media after this disorder, but the focus at the moment has to be on dealing with the disorder and making sure that our communities are safe and secure.
Welcome to North Korea, folks. This guy is a tyrant. What he's talking about, as I said in my monologue, what this Online Safety Act is going to prevent us doing if we don't want to end up in jail is criticising the Labour government. Did you catch this story? We last night. This is how sinister this is, folks. We covered this story last night. Guido Fawkes, the mischievous, rather entertaining website that covers Parliament and all its
dishonour,
in all its dishonour and its shenanigans. It's scurrilous, but it's also tends to be very accurate as well. It is the scourge of MPs, and for that we salute it. They ran a story yesterday, or they tried to. The story was this, that the list of Britain's most popular names came out.
Yeah.
And, you know, as always, these days, the most popular was Mohammed. Now, they ran a funny little story saying, well, incidentally, it turns out that for the last year, no one has called their kid Kia. That was blocked on Twitter with this sinister message saying local rules mean that this information is restricted. That was exactly the same message that was put up to prevent people looking at the footage from the Leeds hotel where the asylum seeker protest unfolded last weekend. So what this amounts to is if you criticise Labour or you make fun of our supreme leader, Keir Starmer, you'll be blocked. You'll be blocked. And worse still, he's set up a spy unit in Whitehall. It's a spy unit in Whitehall where these people will go through Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media sites, TikTok presumably. They'll go through it looking for any posts, tweets, Facebook posts, whatever, that are deemed to be anti-migrant, deemed to be problematical about asylum seeker hotels. So if you post something along the lines of, as a concerned citizen, really worried about this asylum seeker hotel that's suddenly been set up in our hotel, it's full of migrants and I don't trust them, they will then, this Snoop unit, the spy unit that our dear leader, our supreme leader, Keir Starmer has set up, will report you to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever your favourite social media website is, in a bid to get you banned. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But what's quite interesting is actually it's the same tactic that Turkey used, that Russia used. We're now in line with these tyrannical regimes. You know, we had to have Jim Jordan, the US, I think he's a senator, actually come out and defend and kind of raise this issue of British censorship and the kind of the suppression of our rights to free speech, as though we were some kind of Soviet nation in the 1980s. It was a mark of embarrassment more than anything. But what we're seeing is what's known as the digital panopticon. So basically what this is...
what?
It's called the digital panopticon.
Oh, the panopticon.
Yeah, there you go. So basically it's this concept...
I know what that means, of course I do. You all know what panopticon means, don't you?
It's this concept of you are consistently being watched. So once you get that into your head...
Big Brother.
It's Big Brother. So you start to self-censor. That is what this is actually starting about. That's why you have Lucy Connolly.
Yeah.
It's about coming down really hard now.
Making people frightened.
You make people scared to criticise. So then what you then do is you don't really need the mass surveillance because you're too scared to say anything.
Interesting.
It's a mark of tyranny. It's what tyrants use, and it is terrifying that it is being ushered in yet again under this guise of securing our communities. A nice phrase.
Protecting children.
Yeah, protecting children. But as Starmer just said then, it's about, so we've got to secure our communities. From what and from where?
Yeah. If you're watching Peter Carr, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. And don't trust that guy. Don't trust this government. Social media posts referring to sex attacks are being suppressed and flagged as pornographic. You see what I mean? So if you say, for example, very worried there's been a sex attack in our area and an asylum seeker has been charged with the crime, that will be blocked on the basis that it's pornographic. This is astonishing as well. Tory MP Katie Lamb, a very good MP actually, she made a speech in Parliament, in the House of Commons, on the scourge of sexual crimes. And she was alluding to the fact that the number of, we're going to be talking about this later obviously, the number of sex crimes is soaring and it is linked to the migrant crisis, that thousands of young men that we don't know anything about, of sexually active age, are being let into this country, put into these hotels, and in these areas where they now reside, there's been a marked increase in sex crimes. So she was making this speech. That's in Parliament. This is a speech in the House of Commons to other MPs. If you go onto the social media sites, you can't watch it. It's been blocked, and if you go to Katie Lamb's speech, or if you go to the Leeds asylum seeker hotel protest, or even the story that nobody has named their kid Keir, this is what you're greeted with. This sinister message. due to local laws, we are temporarily restricting this content. Protecting children, it's just a sideshow in this act. It's a sideshow, as you say, Pete. Shame on the Tories for bringing it in, but Labour have turned it into a weapon of suppression.
Yeah, 100%. But what really staggers me is the number of people that search for VPNs and the way to get around all of this stuff skyrocketed. So the idea that it's even protecting children, it doesn't exist. This is being used to kind of justify this nefarious actions. It's nothing to do with kids. Peter Kyle lied to people. He's an idiot. Well, probably both. Knowing him. Because, again, what we're actually seeing is the Labour Party's reaction is suppress, don't kind of engage or debate. They want to kind of put any dissent needs to be managed. That is a terrifying prospect.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, folks, information is power. And in a democracy, the people, free citizens in a free democracy, are allowed access to all the information that they want, that they need. That they require. What Starmer and his jackboot crew are doing is closing down our access to the information we should be allowed to see. So, in other words, the coverage of these protests, I know that we know they've been happening, but it's pretty muted.
From day one, I've always been surprised, over a lot of these protests, that it's not more headline news, but the mainstream media has often sided with the government on a lot of this stuff. No matter which party, they've walked hand in hand with them, and I think that is a huge part of the problem. But the thing that the Starmer government have not realised is that it doesn't work, because what you actually do is you kind of you exacerbate the thing that you don't want to happen because you've tried to suppress it. We're judging things on intent, not on the outcomes. And the real hate speech, the real nastiness of politics, just goes further underground. It doesn't eradicate it. It just actually makes it expand. And it's foolishness, but it's not done for anything like they're saying. Again, the interesting, just one quick point though, is it kind of shows that the Labour Party don't know how to campaign anymore. You've got Peter Kyle running around calling people friends of Jimmy Savile and all the rest of it. You can't actually defend anything that you're doing. So their reaction now is to suppress it and to make sure there is no opposition to them, because they don't know how to defend what they're doing.
And they will be telling Starmer, self-righteous, pious little man that he is, he'll be telling himself and all his Labour acolytes, they'll be saying, this is because we can't allow this far-right racism. It's all about, hate. Got to suppress hate. No. This is about us, the people of this country, this great country, being allowed to discuss the issues that concern us, like the asylum seeker hotels, like the migrant crisis. These are issues, these are problems that the government has demonstrably proved it is unable to even begin to solve. It's hopeless. So, its inability is obvious, it's palpable. They know this, so their technique to not so much solve the problem, but solve the problem as far as they're concerned, is to make sure that in the best of all worlds from there, but we don't even know about information, we don't even know what's going on, and if we do, and we start sending tweets, talking to each other on social media, they shut us down. Honestly, this is, it's 2025, folks, but welcome to 1984. It's here. Big Brother is watching you. Be careful. Really be careful out there. I hate to say it, but these people are going to put you in jail for this stuff. It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary that we've come to this. Socialists, they hate freedom of speech. They want to control what we think, what we do, what we know. We mustn't let them get away with this. What do you think, folks? 03444991000. We'll carry on with this theme when we come back after these messages.
The people that we want knives from have knives prior to the knives amnesties. During the knife amnesty, they continue to carry their knives. After the knife amnesty, the people that are still left with the knives are those that we want the knives from. The people that hand it in are normally law-abiding members of the public that might have found a machete in their garage, unlikely to get into the hands of one of the gangs I've just told you about. So the circle goes round and round.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with my Friday friend, political strategist Pete Barnes. We're both very worried about freedom of speech or the attacks on it in this country. This is profound. This is sinister. This is a government that's trying to crack down on our right to talk to each other, to communicate with each other about what matters, what concerns us, what's going on. As I said before the break, basically the things that are concerning us, the migrant crisis, asylum seeker, law and order, sex attacks, so on and so forth, these are problems that this government has proved it is incapable of dealing with. So its technique is to stop us talking about it and stop us knowing about it. That's, as Pete said, that's what they do in Russia. That's what they do in North Korea. That's what they used to do in East Germany. Stasi, Starmer, that's what he is. Now, we're worried about this. I think a lot of people in the country are worried about this. Our friends in America are extremely worried about it. Now, in America, they have a thing called free speech, proper free speech. And they're looking across the Atlantic and they're dismayed, alarmed by what they see. Now, you may remember the Prime Minister was on a visit to Washington, D.C. In February this year when the Vice President, J.D. Vance, spoke to him.
Look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Yeah, we've had free speech for a very, very long time, Keir, and you're shutting it down. You're killing it. How dare you sit there and say that? J.D. Vance is saying that because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, these Americans, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, you know, they just don't like Britain. And that's not, that is wrong. Those guys love Britain. It's still to them the most important country that's not America in the world. But Britain is very, very important to J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and all American politicians, in fact, a lot of Americans. Their criticisms are not out of contempt or hatred. They are out of love. They are concerned. They're worried by what they're seeing. Well, let's have a look at last week during that amazing trip to the golf course Turnberry where Donald Trump, I love Donald Trump, honestly. I know he's got a lot of faults, but after last weekend in Turnberry, when he told Keir Starmer like it is, he can do no wrong with me. Let's remind ourselves of some of the discourse between the President of the United States and the pipsqueak little Prime Minister of Britain.
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud of that.
Ooh, he's got it's the Keir Starmer doll. Pull his string, and he goes, we've had free speech for a very long time. We're very proud of that. Well, stop killing it then. Honestly, honestly.
What really struck me about that is the speed to which he comes back on that response. Like, that's like, he's pre-programmed. He's got to say it because he's got to get in there and shut that down because he knows that, you know, the criticism is there, that the hypocrisy is there, that he just lied in front of the President of the United States. That's what he did.
He's a socialist. He doesn't like freedom.
He doesn't like it. They don't like it because once you start to question Why? Why is this happening? Why are you doing this? They don't like that question.
Do you remember when they, straight after the horrendous day when Britain made the fatal mistake of voting those socialist free speech killing idiots into power? Do you remember straight afterwards, one of the first moves by this government was by the awful education secretary, Bridget Phillipson, you know, Britain's top class warrior, little Geordie. But she went to Oxford, you know. She's clever. She's clever. I went to Oxford. Anyway, the first thing she did, there was a thing that Rishi Sunak put in place. Who could possibly object? It was an act called. It was called the Free Speech on Campuses, on University Campuses Act. So it was an act, or a bill, shall we say, to enshrine the right to freedom of speech on university campuses. Bridget Phillipson immediately announced she was not going to put that into action. She didn't like that act at all. How could you object to that?
Yeah, but the thing about that again, is what's more nefarious is they used it to kind of justify, you know, that it would somehow stop debate on campuses and all this stuff to do with anti-Semitism. It had nothing to do with that. The actual bill was actually about empowering academics to go down certain routes and to have access to funding. You would not have had the Casey report that went into puberty blockers and all that research if You know, that was
we know how much Labour loved the Casey report.
This was the point: is that the research was starting to go in a way that the government didn't like, that these people don't like, so they had to shut it down. You know, that bit of legislation would have kind of prevented that from ever coming to light. It is undeniable. They've all said it, and I called that out straight at the beginning because you also.
I was horrified.
It was terrifying.
I mean, she did it in the end. Even she, dangerous little woman that she is, had to back down. And that act, because people say, hang on a second, you're opposing an act that is to enshrine freedom of speech on university campuses. Could you explain your objections? You mean you don't want freedom of speech on university campuses? So in the end, even she, little class warrior tyrant that she is, had to back down.
Yeah, but you have to remember as well.
But that act is watered down.
It is, but it was. She pulled it again. The day of recess. The day of Easter recess. So again, they do it right before everybody stops paying attention, and then they suddenly drop this they pull these kind of big stunts, and then no one's paying. How they get it through. It is nefarious. They know what they're doing. These are coordinated moves. They're not rogue operators. This is a streamlined operation, and it is absolutely terrifying.
And the next step, folks, will be this, particularly as seems almost guaranteed that these asylum seeker protests are going to increase. They're going to get worse and worse and worse. And by the way, there's another example of the way this government and this pathetic Prime Minister operate. He hasn't said a single word about the asylum seeker protests now that have been raging across the country now for about 3 weeks. Hasn't said a word.
Well, that's the old trick of just don't say anything, just ignore
it. Like it's
not happening. We see that throughout history. These people just deny it. What are you talking about? It's nothing. They downplay it by not referencing it. But again, I just don't think it works anymore because you're just denying reality.
But Pete, it's incoherent. It doesn't make sense. Maybe one demonstration, the Prime Minister doesn't have to mention it. Maybe 2 or 3, he doesn't have to mention it. But like 50 a week?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it warrants or it requires the Prime Minister to talk to the nation about this.
Given every time he gets up in front of the nation, he does something terrible. I'd rather him just stay quiet for a little bit longer, actually. But,
do you know what I really hate about this? Is, here's to all the protesters, because do you know what people are missing? These protests, there's been so many of them now. Huge one, was it last night in Waterlooville, little town in Havant. Massive one in Altrincham, Leeds, Portsmouth, Southampton, Bournemouth, of course Epping. Big ones planned again this weekend, all over the country. What I hate about it is that the Prime Minister will not acknowledge that this is happening.
Yeah, I caught your interview with the lady from Waterlooville during the week, and I thought what was interesting was there is no way the government will ever allow this to happen because she was just an ordinary woman on the street. She wasn't a far-right thug. She wasn't this kind of flag-waving idiot or anything. She was
most of these people.
But that's the point. They can't allow that because it looks like normal people. It defeats their narrative that these are riots of dangerous people. They're not dangerous people.
But what I was going to say, what I hate about this situation is that one of the reasons, or why he will justify it to himself on planet Starmer, don't go there, it's a very hostile environment for all normal human beings, which he most definitely is. So Kira, speaking as an outsider, what do you think of the human race? But seriously, one of the reasons that he's been able to not talk about this, he should do, is because it's that dirty little secret that the Labour government probably doesn't like at all. These protests have been peaceful.
Yes, they hate it. They really do, because they can't, because again, they don't know how to defend what they're doing. They need to call someone a name.
Far-right thugs attacking the police. Well, they're not doing it, are they? These are, but 99% of the people protesting are decent local citizens who are very worried that hundreds of unknown foreign men have been foisted upon their communities, and guess what? Some of them are committing sex crimes, and they're not fighting with the police. They're not throwing bricks. They're not trying to set fire to mosques, and Keir Starmer, I think he preferred that did happen, because then he could condemn it. These aren't protests, they're far-right thugs. They're not. They're peaceful protests. Here's to the people. I hope that these protests remain peaceful. As long as they remain peaceful, I want there to be thousands of them. Thousands of them, until this strange little weirdo in number 10 Downing Street is forced to acknowledge it. It's a disgrace that he won't address this, because the people are speaking. They want us to deal with this issue, and this Prime Minister's basically going, la, 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 la. It's pathetic, folks. 0344 499 1000. Well, when we come back, I think we'll talk about the details of the migrant crisis all over the front page today. They talk of the joke of Keir Starmer and Calamity Cooper's ridiculous smash the gang strategy. We'll talk about the statistics. We'll talk about how just ludicrously this isn't working. It's just ridiculous. That next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, all over the front page of the Daily Mail, all the other papers covering it as well, of course, is, basically the headline says something about the sick joke of Two-Tier and Calamity Cooper's pathetic smash the gangs policy. They're still talking about it. Smash the gang. You've been in power for over a year now. You've had this policy since day one. You haven't smashed a single gang. And look at this week. Since last Wednesday, by the way, hey ho, break out, there you go. Proof Starmer's Smash the Gangs campaign is a joke. And it's true. And the proof is the numbers. It's just the numbers. By the way, special day today, break out the champagne, folks. Yesterday, no migrants came across the channel. And the day before, as I said last night, it was outrageous exaggerations before the figures come out. Outrageous exaggerations in the right-wing press. They said that it looks as if 900 migrants had come across the day before yesterday. It's outrageous. It's awful the way the press exaggerate things, isn't it? It wasn't 900. It was 898.
Yeah.
898. So since last Wednesday, 1,902 migrants have crossed the channel. And they alone will cost taxpayers over the next year, and indeed years to come, £76 million. Every single one of these people, mostly young blokes of sexually active age, will cost us £40,000 a year because we put them in 4-star hotels, give them mobile phones, give them free food, free lawyers, free dentists, free doctors. Can't do enough for them. So they cost us £40,000 a year. By the way, the government policy of,
No, we actually have a policy.
Yeah, well, no, I love the way that Starmer and these absolute half-wits in 10 Downing Street and the Cabinet turn to us and say, don't worry, we've got a policy, we're going to get these migrants out of the asylum seeker hotels. And then we're going to put them in housing, private housing, presumably social housing as well, rented housing. Well, why do they? So do you think we're all going to go, oh, well, that's all right then? Because the only thing that worries us about this entire situation is that they are in hotels. No. What we'd actually like, Starmer, if you're watching, actually, I hope you're not watching. If you are watching, turn the TV off, you're banned. Seriously, what we'd actually like is to get these asylum seekers, these migrants, out of the hotel and then, drum roll, out of the country. Not next door to people, not into the middle of towns. This is going to make matters worse. But, as a policy, what are they talking about? This is just saying we've got a great new policy. We're going to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. Simple as that, isn't it?
100%. And, it's one of those things where it just highlights the complete disconnect between the government and what the people want, and the overwhelming majority, and again, I do keep pointing this out to people. This isn't kind of Starmer being kind of incompetent. This is now deliberate. It is now a deliberate policy to just keep flooding and flooding and flooding because they don't know how to stop it. And I'm starting to believe they don't want to stop this now. Starmer's worldview is that Britain shouldn't exist. Countries don't exist. It's all one big globe. This kind of universal human rights, this universal idea of what it is to be a citizen of the world.
I think that's his philosophy. I think that's his belief. Absolutely. And I think
the way that he's going to do that. Wait
a second. Though. When he became Prime Minister, I think that probably was Labour's plan. It was about, I'll just let them all come in, the united colours of Benetton, no borders for us. It's beautiful humanity, living where it wants to, all that crap. But I think that there's so much pressure on him now. The country is in such a febrile mood about this that he definitely would like to do something about it because it would make life easier for him. But he is proving that he has no idea at all. We're drowning here. And then, by the way, have we swapped any foreigners with Macron lately?
No, not that I know.
What's happening with that plan?
No, again, it was a PR stunt. Everything is just a PR stunt. There is no substance behind anything. They trotted out this idea that we've deported more people than any other point. No, you didn't. You gave them £3,000 and told them to get on a plane. That's not deporting people. Where, again, it is the doing enough to justify it in the language, because yet again, this is how the left fight. It is language wars. You know, like we said with the hotels thing, they've shut the hotels. That's what you wanted, but they've not actually got rid of the migrants, which is what we then actually really wanted.
By the way, when they say, oh, we're moving them out of the hotels, actually, there are 210 asylum seeker hotels around
that we
the
know
country.
of.
110,000 people waiting for their asylum seeker applications to be approved, which they almost certainly were. We actually used to approve 76% of all asylum seeker applications. Under great pressure and duress, the government, or various governments, have got it down to 48%, which is by far and away the highest percentage in the world of asylum applications to be accepted by any country. I think the second place is France, which allows about 30%. Germany, that great bastion of liberalism and multiculturalism, is 12%, and falling. Germany isn't even letting them in anymore. You know, we're letting all these people in, and then they join the country, as it were. And going back to J.D. Vance, he said that Europe, us in particular, but Europe, with these migration policies, come one, come all, we'll let you in. You know, you can live here, you can set up your own communities with your own cultures, you don't have to integrate. He said Europe, including Britain, is committing civilizational suicide.
Yeah.
And he's right.
He's 100% correct. I mean, the last, 30 years of European history, including ours, has been nothing but come on in. That is what it has been, you know, and it has absolutely ravaged us.
You don't have to speak English, by all means. Set up your own little Islamic community where no one speaks English and you all go to the mosque. I've got nothing against people holding on to their cultures and living here, as long as they contribute. But you can hold on to your culture, you can be proud of your culture, but also make the effort to integrate with the country you've decided to live in. These people make no effort at all.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have no integration policy at all, of any level, I think is just criminal. And I think the entire establishment is to blame for this. And it just... How did they not see this coming? Even if you want to believe that it's not some kind of conspiracy or whatever, just the sheer level of incompetence on this. You know, you're importing people from around the world and you just think they're all going to get on. I think this is the great flaw, is they think that everybody has the same mentality, that everybody has the same ideas and ideals and values. And the reality has hit them very firm in the face, and their reaction to it is to shut down dissent, because they would dare not admit that they are responsible for the destruction of everything. I think that's a big part of it, is they just won't take any accountability of their role in the downfall and in any of the problems, because they've encouraged this.
Yeah, I mean, this all dates back to Blair. And Blair and his gang had ideas about multiculturalism. They thought this was good. You know, as the King likes to say, diversity is our strength. Look, I'm not against diversity. I'm not against multiculturalism. If we could all get along together whilst accepting we're all in the same community, but it doesn't go like that. Diversity, your Madge, is not our strength. It's our bloody downfall. It's our downfall. It's killing us. It's killing this country. As J.D. Vance so accurately says, we are committing civilizational suicide. Let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. Right, we'll leave the migrant crisis and freedom of speech now. And when we come back, we'll talk about another aspect of this government's insanity, and that is the nut zero secretary, Crazy Ed Miliband, and his absurd policies. He's shut down the North Sea gas fields. That has resulted in us importing unprecedented amounts of gas. Huge surging of the importing of gas from foreign countries, mainly Norway, 20% up. Our purchase of foreign gas.
This story is staggering.
And we've had to do a deal with Norway, which could cost us £20 billion. And that rests with the fact that while we're about to give Norway £20 billion for their gas. Not far from where their gas fields are our gas fields, which we could get our own gas from for free, but Ed has closed them down. You know, where are the men in white coats for this guy? Who will rid us of this utter lunatic? Let me know. 03444991000. That next, stay tuned.
If you take all the foreign prisoners that are currently around, so in 1 year you can actually deport all of them for a cost of about 145 million quid, which is significantly less than the 600 million quid they're paying every single year. And also remember, Mike, lots of these people are in here for a long period of time. So that's 600 million 1 year next year, so that's billions of pounds over the next few years, when actually you could have one fell swoop, 145 million, get rid of them all in one fell swoop, and then off they go. And actually that, you know, saves prison spaces for actual British criminals, it saves taxpayers money, and also shows that we're serious about getting rid of these people who shouldn't have been in our country really in the first place.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. By the way, in an hour and 10 minutes, it's my TV show, What Just Happened? So we'll play you a clip of that a bit later. But that starts at 9 o'clock and goes on until 10 o'clock. So I hope you enjoy that. I'll keep reminding you of it because, you know, every viewer helps, particularly if you're as useless as I am. But seriously, that's at 9 o'clock. But let's now talk, still with Pete Barnes, of course. We were just, during the commercials there, we were just like literally almost tearing our hair out, going, what is government? I mean, blimey! I mean, if you think about it, what we've been discussing for the last 15 minutes or so, every single one of these policies are government actions, government policies. I mean, they're part sinister and part utterly insane, incoherent, dysfunctional claptrap. We are in the hands of incompetent madmen. We really are. And of course,
I was just about to say,
none of them is more mad than the Nut Zero Secretary Ed Miliband. Now, as you know, one of his first actions when he decided to turn us into a green paradise was to shut down the North Sea gas fields, which gave us pretty huge supplies of cheap gas. Now, since then, well, what this has resulted in, we are now having to buy, at great expense, huge amounts of foreign gas, mainly from Norway. We've done a deal with Norway, which could net Norway £20 billion. We might be spending £20 billion on foreign gas from Norway when we have free gas, our own, but we've shut that down for net zero reasons. it's just mad. It is so mad. By the way, Pete, shutting down North Sea oil and gas, because he shut down the oil fields as well, could cost 200,000 jobs, but never mind. He set up GB Energy, his mysterious company.
One guy works for.
Yeah, well, I think to be fair, I think they've hired 6 executives.
Oh, right.
The chief executive is temporary.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it might be right. I mean, certainly as of a couple of months ago, they had 1 employee.
Yeah, they did.
He kept saying there's 650,000 jobs. Doing what?
Yeah.
They've lost 200,000 jobs. We've lost our, if you like, I mean, it's not free, but it's our gas. He's prevented us from supplying our country with our gas, which is effectively cost-free, in order to spend £20 billion buying it from Norway. By the way, also another source of energy for us. We've banned fracking because it causes earthquakes. No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. We're not allowed to frack because of net zero for ecological reasons. We buy in billions of dollars worth of fracked fuel, fracked gas from America.
Yeah.
They frack, we buy it. Honestly, we've got to do something about this maniac.
Yeah, he is the single biggest threat, I think, right now. We could talk about the free speech and all the rest of it, but in terms of our actual security, net zero has left us colder, poorer and more exposed than ever before. Energy security will be one of the central points of the next, 20, 30 years if we continue down this rather tense geopolitical time. It is staggering to me. He turned off the taps at Aberdeen and he opened the public's checkbook yet again because this costs us so much money. The kind of decommissioning of what's going to be all these kind of gas fields. So 180 out of 280 being shut. That alone is 25 billion, and that is ballooning by the minute. Again, it's just an astonishing kind of halo polishing exercise because this has become a religion.
Yeah.
It really is, and he's like the high priest running around.
A mad religion.
Yeah, it really, really is. And I think it was Carl Jung that said people don't have ideas, ideas have people, and this is a prime example of it because there are so many people now within the Labour movement that are latching onto this kind of net zero environmentalist move. Because, they see it as the next great cause, and it is very, very dangerous because when your bills go up, just send it to Ed Miliband. He is the reason it's going up. This £300 decrease is a lie.
Well, that didn't happen. Our bills have gone up by 300 quid. And we have the highest energy bills in the world because of Ed Miliband. 5 times higher than the energy bills in America.
Yeah.
If we fracked... if we carried on mining, drilling, mining the North Sea for oil and gas, our energy bills would plummet. America's energy bills are like kind of $3 a week because, that's an exaggeration. I tend to do that. I'm a journalist. But seriously, their energy bills are next to nothing because Obama, of all people, fracked and fracked and fracked, and they've got 125 years worth of cheap energy because of that. We ban ourselves from this for stupid green reasons. And by the way, we have to come back to the normal point that you have to here. Why are we doing this to ourselves? We were already one of the greenest countries on the face of the earth. We were producing less than 1% of the world's carbon emissions.
Yeah, but also we then put windfall taxes on these companies who were actually developing new technologies which would have led the green revolution if you wanted to go down that line. So they've just cut themselves off so many times because they will not get growth in this country if we have high energy. Throughout history, no society has ever developed or grown if your energy prices are very high. So this idea of going for growth will not happen with Ed Miliband and net zero. It won't happen.
I'll just tell you, this is the epicenter, if you like, of this lunacy, this crazed lunacy. I mean, there are so many aspects to this, but just tell one story. I'm sure you know it, Pete. You guys may know it as well. But the Drax power station is Britain's biggest power station. I think it's in West Yorkshire. It's in Yorkshire. It used to be a coal-fueled power station. The coal that ran it came from a coal mine that was 30 miles away. That, of course, was shut down, I think it was 2 years ago. might have been 3, for ecological reasons. You know, coal, fossil fuels, can't have that. So now, because of our legislation, all power stations have to be fueled by renewables. So coal is not a renewable, wood is. So instead of cheaply transporting coal 30 miles and economically fueling this power station, big power station, millions and millions of people get their energy from Drax, we now ship in from North America and Canada huge tankers full of wood pellets that, by the way, come from beautiful forests in North America. They're chopped down and killed so that we could turn those lovely trees into pellets and then transport them. By the way, tankers really damage the environment. A lot of crap comes out of tankers. So these eco-destroying tankers then bring the wood pellets all the way to Drax, and then they sort of set fire to them, and that's the new source of power. And when the wood pellets burn, the amount of pollution knocks the amount of pollution that coal produces into a cocked hat. How utterly insane is that?
It's mental, absolutely mental. But the more nefarious aspect is when they shut down these power plants, they cover them over in concrete. They make them unusable.
Oh, that was the fracking.
Fracking, yeah. They cover it over so it can never be reopened.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's again, it's insanity, but it's. I can't. There's no words for it anymore. There's just no words.
We give up, folks.
Give up.
We're going down the pub. We've had enough. We really are.
Somebody to pour me a scotch.
No, actually, we'll stick around just for you. All right. Get your calls in about all that. 03444991000. We're going to go to break now. 8 o'clock news. After that, we'll be joined by from the New Culture Forum, Philip Kilsley, to discuss some more important issues. So stay tuned for that.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, in about 30 minutes or so, we're going to be taking your phone calls. I've already got a packed switchboard, but Get on the phone and let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. I'll read some of your messages later as well. But ring me about what we've been talking about, this sinister government crackdown on freedom of speech. It really, really is worrying. Also, crazy nut zero secretary, Mad Ed Miliband. We're going to spend £20 billion on importing gas when we could get it for free from our own gas fields that he shut down. Really? You know, it's sort of like one of those situations like, stop the world, I want to get off. This is mad. 03444991000. But before we get to you, get your calls in and we'll talk in a little while. I'll read some of your messages. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note if you like. And we'll read that out. I promise I'll read your WhatsApp voice notes out. But before we get to you, the important people, that's you, the audience, let's spend the next 30 minutes in the excellent company of the New Culture Forum's powerhouse, Philip Kilsley. Welcome, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's great to see you.
Always a pleasure. I'm with Pete Barnes, political strategist, and we have been furious for the last hour talking about the sinister crackdown on freedom of speech, talking about the madman Ed Miliband. And now, what I said in my monologue at the beginning of the show, let's talk about these important issues while we can, before the government starts arresting us and shutting down all freedom of speech. Now, one of the things we need to talk about, I've saved this for you, because it's extremely worrying. Big story, it's been running all day. A record number of foreign sex offenders and violent criminals are serving prison sentences in England and Wales. As of June, there were 1,731 men from abroad in jail. That's up by 10%, 9.9% since last year. This is all based on new Ministry of Justice data, which also reveals that foreigners account for a total of 12% of our 87,334 prisoners. So we've essentially got 88,000 prisoners. 12% of them are foreigners. That's represents a 3% rise since last year. So the number of foreigners in our jails around the country is 10,772. That's 12%. This is the highest number of foreign convicts in British history, and they're costing British taxpayers £580 million a year. Also, the highest since records began. Foreigners doing time for violent crimes. That's 3,250, an increase of 8.8% since last year. Now, given that a fair proportion of these non-British criminals are migrants and asylum seekers, my question to you would be, why don't we free up much needed cell space by just deporting them?
And my answer would be, let's do it tomorrow. In fact, let's do it today, you know? And I think anybody with any sense would say exactly the same thing. That's what the British public want. That's what the British public think. It's good that we've got the data on this stuff. This is the first time we've ever had this kind of data. Now, we kind of know why, looking at the data and looking at the nature of it, okay, looking at the kinds of crimes and the rates of criminal activity, we kind of know why, I think now, that they've always kept nationality away from this. Because nobody voted for mass immigration, certainly nobody wants illegal immigration, and yet we're paying through the nose for it in all sorts of ways. And it isn't just housing, it isn't just education, it isn't just welfare, it isn't just benefits, it's actually prisons. Now, I was just looking at some of this stuff, and you can, all right, you can throw stats around until you're blue in the face, and they're all shocking. But Afghans and Eritreans, 20 times more likely to commit a sex offence, okay? Albanians, 153 times more likely to convict convicted of drug offences or violent offences. Okay, so if we allow mass immigration, if we allow illegal immigration with no consequences, which is what we've been doing for years, decades, but it is absolutely on steroids now. We are committing a kind of act of self-harm to this country, okay? It's a massive act of self-harm. And what have we got to look forward to here, Kev, with all of these people in prison? Okay, more are going to replace them, because what did we have yesterday? I think you tweeted about it. Was it 898,
898 yesterday, yeah.
Okay, coming across, you can bet your life that a good proportion of those are going to end up in prison. But also what we're going to have, which is really worrying, is all of these people who are in prison now, they're going to be on our streets at some point. Not only are we going to be having to look after them with welfare, housing and all the rest of it, but my guess is many of them are going to reoffend. So it's just this circular act of self-harm, this circular act of nonsense and stupidity that we keep going through over and over again. I'm sick of it, you're sick of it, and I know the British
people are sick of it. Now, you know, this weekend already, I think some asylum seeker hotels are protesting. We've had a great number of them now for about 2 straight weeks, particularly in Epping. But last weekend, I know we had them in Portsmouth, Southampton, Bournemouth, Leeds, Altrincham, Epping, of course. The list goes on, more and more and more. Now, our left-wing socialist government, they like to frame these protesters as people who don't like foreigners. They like to frame these protests as the demonstrations by people who really dislike the idea of having foreigners in their midst. That isn't what they're about. It's nothing to do with whether or not there are foreigners in their midst. It's what some of these foreigners get up to. Now, this is the point. All these flashpoints are in areas that have asylum seeker hotels where asylum seekers have either been convicted, charged or accused of sex offences. And this is on the rise. More and more of these people are being convicted of sex offences or being charged with sex offences, and local communities, mothers and fathers, unsurprisingly, do not like this. There's nothing to do with not liking foreigners or racism. It's about worrying about their daughters, worrying about men, worrying about their wives. And we need to talk about what bringing in thousands of young men of sexually active age from cultures with different attitudes to women, what effect that is having on this country. These guys, you know, both sexual crimes and violent crimes being committed by these asylum seekers, they come from very different cultures where their attitudes to women and to violence are extraordinarily different to ours. They get here, they act according to their culture and find that it clashes with our culture. This is the damn problem, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they come from honour-based tribal cultures, and you cannot transpose an honour-based tribal culture into the, you know, probably one of the most complex and nuanced cultures in the Western world, you know, not to mention where they're from. So the disconnect there is massive. But you were just listing some of those places before. Let's just be clear about this. The people who are really protesting, the people who are on the front line, are women and girls. That's mothers and daughters. Those are the people.
Yeah.
Why? Because these are the people who are really, really frightened. Okay. But the places you were listing there, yes, you listed places like Leeds and stuff, but you also listed Altrincham. I know Altrincham very well, actually. It's like the Hampstead of the North. It really isn't a place where you would expect people to
By the way, I live in the Hampstead of the South.
Hamstead.
well, I used to live in Altrincham. Yeah. So it's very much that kind of place, and you are not going to get this, and there's nothing going to be racially motivated there. What's interesting is that this stuff is coming to those places. Okay. Now, we always talk about what change might be and what change might look like. It's when these things touch very kind of well-heeled places. It's where actually the chattering classes get a taste of honour culture. That's when things change. Yeah. Okay. It's on their front door, and people don't like it.
Exactly right. And these policies, letting in thousands of young men, as I say, of sexually active age, people like to say of military age. Well, let's call it what it is. These people are young, they're sexually active. And as I say, they come from cultures, shall we say, where they're a little bit more relaxed about attacking women, forcing themselves on women. They also come from cultures where, you know, you're not even allowed to see a woman's big toe. And they come here, and quite rightly, women can dress exactly how they like in this country. But that is like a red rag to a bull to these guys. And, you know, what these policies have done by letting in all these thousands of young men, they have turned the streets of Britain into unsafe places for women. This is absolutely catastrophic.
It is, but we've been telling them this for years and years and years. We've been saying that this is definitely going to happen. If you bring men literally by the boatload into the country, and their attitude to women is that women are possessions and women are barter material, okay?
Yeah.
And women are there to kind of help them display their machismo, then you are asking for trouble. Now, the people who want these people in the country, and the people who will not face the truth, are people who in another breath will, and quite, you know, without any irony whatsoever, will say that they are women's rights campaigners, okay? And this is the stupidity, because I think we're going to get to a story in a minute where this will be the case, but this is the stupidity and the absurdity of identity politics. It is always one thing. It's always a zero-sum game. And at the moment, race is trumping women's rights. And what we have is the kind of danger and the kind of cognitive dissonance about this kind of stuff that I never thought we would see in this country. I never thought it would be so dangerous for women and girls and children, actually, to walk down the streets of our towns and cities unescorted almost. It's like we are reverting or taking on the characteristics of these cultures, or going back 500 years to our own culture. It's completely absurd, and it's very, very frightening.
Yeah, we were talking about, before the break, a couple of points. And one was J.D. Vance saying that by allowing this ongoing invasion, this influx, this almost saturation of foreign cultures, that Europe, including Britain, is committing civilizational suicide. And I think he's got a very, very good point. And the other point that we were making, we'll see a lot more of these demonstrations this weekend, Philip. But the other point we were making, and I think it's a good one, is that these protests have been pretty, you know, febrile. They've been pretty heated. But hey-ho, I bet Keir Starmer hates this, but let's face it, they've been peaceful. They've been peaceful. And because they've been peaceful, it doesn't mean to say they haven't been powerful, but no fighting, no throwing bricks, no trying to set fire to hotels or mosques, nothing like that. But because they've been peaceful, that seems to have given our Prime Minister the excuse not to even say a single word about them. They've been going on now solidly for 2 very, very turbulent weeks. He has not said a word. This is disgraceful.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgraceful. But the thing is, it's not going away. I think you very correctly point out that these are peaceful. And to me, that's the most powerful aspect of them. That demonstrates to me how serious this is. Okay, because this is, we're looking at long-term protests here. This, as I say, this just is not going to go away. And he can be as silent as much as he wants, but it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And people are going to get more frustrated. I'm so pleased that people are beginning to see this as a kind of movement. It's almost like a kind of grassroots movement, because if we don't do it now, if we don't act, we don't take this really seriously, and we think about how we can push back against this stuff, then it is going to be too late. And for me, that's the really dangerous thing. I don't want people to feel as though, oh, well, we'll just have to sit back and put our fingers in our ears and close our eyes and try and forget it. Because for us and for communities out there in places, certainly in the north of England, right, this stuff really is not going to go away, and we have to work together. We have to kind of, in a way, we have to kind of put our differences aside, certainly our political differences aside, and we have to think about the greater good. And that's not about race or anything like that. That is about safety. That is about community. That is about society. And that is about putting women and children first. Now, that is what the government should be doing. That's the first rule of any government. You should be putting the safety of your citizens first.
Absolutely.
But that absolutely is not the case.
Yes, and our Prime Minister, I suspect that old Keir and the gang, the Labour lot, the cabinet, would probably quite like it if one of the, and we hope to hell that none of these protests turn into violence. But I think that the government wouldn't mind that, because it would get old Keir the good chance to wheel out his good old rhetoric about far-right thugs, disgraceful, these aren't protests, and then start throwing them all in jail so he can shut everybody up. But as long as they remain peaceful, he really should be talking to us about this, because it's quite clear the nation is extremely concerned. But he's not saying a word because they're not violent. And his ignoring of a clear, wide-scale concern and worry on the part of the British community, I think it's scandalous.
It is scandalous, and it also says that he just has no answer to it, because there is no answer to it. This is the product, this is the result of years and years of policy. It's the result of people saying, look, we don't want this, we don't want these people in our country because they are dangerous, they are undocumented, they are male, they are sexually active, all of those things. And people just didn't take any notice of us whatsoever. Now, when it's, again, as I say before, as it's kind of too late in a way, you know, when all of this stuff is happening, he's not going to say, oh, right, I got it wrong. But he really doesn't know what to say, because as I've said before, he is just not fit to be Prime Minister. He doesn't have the skills. He doesn't have the communication skills. He doesn't have the diplomacy. He can't take on other ideas. He can only think about what, you know, it within his own kind of ideology. Now, that ideology is the problem. That ideology, that open borders, identity politics, has completely failed us. It has put us in danger. Now it's time to, you know, reverse ferret on that and really change the way things are going. But of course he's not going to do that. We need another government. We need this government out as soon as possible. Everybody knows that, and the person who really knows that is Keir Starmer.
Absolutely, and we have to ditch the horrible old hackneyed cliche that the King's so fond of wheeling out. Diversity is our strength. I'm not against diversity, I'm not against multiculturalism, but look at it. Look at this country now. Multiculturalism has been a disaster. Diversity isn't our strength, it's our damn downfall. We're in trouble here. Philip, stay where we are, and we'll talk about the Manchester Airport cop beating trial when we come back. Stick around, folks.
If you take all the foreign prisoners that are currently around, so in 1 year you can actually deport all of them for a cost of about 145 million quid, which is significantly less than the 600 million quid they're paying every single year. And also remember, Mike, lots of these people are in here for a long period of time. So that's 600 million 1 year next year, so that's billions of pounds over the next few years, when actually you could have one fell swoop, 145 million, get rid of them all in one fell swoop, and then off they go. And actually that, you know, saves prison spaces for actual British criminals, it saves taxpayers money, and also shows that we're serious about getting rid of these people who shouldn't have been in our country really in the first place.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with my Friday friend Pete Barnes, of course, but also with, from the New Culture Forum, Philip Kilsley. Philip, let's talk about the Manchester airport attack. Now, there were two Muslim brothers involved. One was, of course, Mohammed Fahir Amaz. He's 20 years old. He was found guilty on Wednesday of a vicious assault on two female coppers, breaking one of their noses, blood all over her face. Very distressing video of it. A 20-year-old, big, burly guy beating the hell out of two women. I hope he's proud of himself, and I hope they throw the book at him. I'm very worried that Mr. Ahmez might get a more lenient sentence than, say, Lucy Connolly, who got 2 years and 7 months for posting hurty words on Twitter during the Southport riots. She was hundreds of miles away. 2 years, 7 months, she's still in jail. I tell you what, Ahmez better get a longer sentence than her, otherwise it's going to be hell to pay. All hell will break loose. We should stress, he also faces another charge of attacking PC Zachary Marsden, a bloke of course, along with his older brother, 26-year-old Mohammed Ahmed. There's a retrial, so both Ahmez here and his older brother will face a retrial, charged with attacking a male copper. But Ahmez, 20 years old, guilty of beating the hell out of two women. What a guy. A nasty little coward. Now, to go back to, we have to be careful about the older brother. He's not guilty of any offence at this stage. But we can say what we like about Ahmez, and I've got a lot of things to say about him, as I think I've already made plain. But anyway, if you remember that video last summer, it's literally just over a year since it happened. July the 23rd last year. By the way, Ahmez was also found guilty of headbutting a passenger on a plane who'd got off the plane, who he accused of racially abusing his mother. The other brother, not guilty of anything yet, and may well continue not to be guilty. We don't know what the trial is going to decide. Now, after that video emerged, you remember the great and the good, Yvette Cooper, Lucy Powell, oh, police brutality, this is outrageous, siding with the Muslim brothers and siding against the police. In this torrent of liberal outrage, police brutality and all that followed that video being released, someone who got involved was a woman called Baroness Shaista Gohir. She's the chief executive of the Muslim Women's Network UK. She talked about police brutality and linked or compared the actions of the coppers there with the actions of the coppers who killed George Floyd in Minnesota. An outrageous comparison, I would say, anyway. Anyway, the point is that our friend Baroness Shaista Gohir, Chief Executive of the Muslim Women's Network, looms large in the advisors to the government, to Angela Rayner's committee, who are in the process, rather disturbingly in my view, of coming up with a new definition of Islamophobia. I don't think Baroness Shaista Gohir should be allowed anywhere near that committee, do you?
Oh, I mean, you just couldn't make it up. This is like dystopian hell, isn't it? It's like a nightmare. And so this is kind of what I was alluding to before. So she sells herself as a women's rights campaigner. Okay, now the thing that's different about this age to previous ages is that you could only read about this stuff, over your breakfast, a newspaper. You'd read about what happened over in the paper. Now you see footage, and that is hugely different. And this footage had a huge impact on me, as I think it had a huge impact on many, many people.
On the country. I mean, I remember when it came out, we were on air. I mean,
it's extraordinary. It
was incendiary.
So this is a man, a thug, one of nature's noblemen there, absolutely smashing a woman in the face.
Two women.
Two women, but the image of...
Oh yeah, the woman with the poor girl with the blood all over her face. Yeah.
So that's so important. We see that, and even though this woman has seen that, even though Yvette Cooper, even though all of these people in positions of power have seen this awful footage, they still side with the brute who beats a woman's face to a pulp. That is where we are at the moment, and that is the Labour Party. But there's a reason why, and it's the reason why we're looking at a de facto blasphemy law. It's the reason why people were so frightened to speak out against Pakistani heritage men raping white children. It's because, I'm sorry, but in this country, Islam is held to a different set of rules than everybody else. It's a very lenient set of rules, and some would say there are practically no rules at all. And that's at the heart of this problem. Again, it comes back down to identity politics. It's a zero-sum game. If you're a white woman, you've got no chance against a Muslim thug, frankly. So, it comes down to the two-tier. It's the fundamental thing. It's the fundamental problem with this government, and it's the two-tier aspect of everything. Everything is so totally unfair, and even the graphic depiction of a woman being beaten so brutally will make no difference to that. That's the really frightening thing. That's the dangerous thing. But ultimately, sorry, just to finish.
Carry on.
I think that's what people are going to respond to. That's the kind of thing that people are responding to in the streets now.
Ahmed said that he didn't realise they were women, but Ahmed is a disgusting little liar, a coward who beats up women. I hope they lock him up and throw away the key. And if he gets less than Lucy Connolly, there will be trouble. This is what Baroness Shaista Gohir said after the video emerged. Listen to this. This incident has remnants of the George Floyd murder and is a stark reminder that minority communities are more likely to face police brutality. What is further concerning is that on social media, many have praised the police response, including Richard Tice, MP of the Reform Party, who described the police response as reassuring. When police brutality is applauded by influential public figures, it is likely to further fuel racism and Islamophobia. Richard Tice, by the way, was on my show a couple of nights ago. He's furious about this. He's demanding an apology. And now that we've seen all of the video from all angles, he was right. These coppers were trying to restrict a situation that was spiralling out of control. This incident has remnants of the George Floyd murder. And this is a stark reminder that minority communities are more likely to face police brutality. This woman is advising Angela Rayner, Dominic Grieve and that sinister committee on the new definition of Islamophobia. Now that is frightening. You want to know what's frightening? That is frightening.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, it's just complete gaslighting, isn't it? It's an inversion of the truth, and that's essentially what we're getting time and time again with this. We are living in a society where we have to. It's almost like we have to play this game. We have to live in a fantasy world. We have to step outside there and walk into this dangerous fantasy where we just turn a blind eye to all sorts of violence, sexual violence, and all the rest of it, because it's a particular kind of person who's committing it, and we just have to kind of make ourselves victims. Well, I'm sorry, but that is just, that's not going to happen. We must not do that, and it's about time. It's about time we really push back. And I'm delighted that people like Richard Tice, Nigel Farage, and the Reform Party generally, and other people as well, are really pushing back on this and doing what they're supposed to do, actually, which is take apart the silence, take apart the fantasy that we all have to live, the mechanism that makes all of this stuff work. And they are doing that, and they are having some success at doing that. Indeed.
Philip, really good to talk to you. You'll be with us next week, I hope, and have an excellent weekend. Always a pleasure, mate. That's Philip Kilsey from the New Culture Forum. I'm still with Pete Barnes. We'll go to break now, and after the break, it is time for you. It's your calls and your messages and your WhatsApp voice notes, so stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to take your calls in just a second, but in about 25 minutes, drum roll, I'm sure you're all getting very, very excited. It's my TV show, What Just Happened. You can carry, if you're watching on telly now on YouTube, just carry on watching and it will unfold before your very eyes. If you're listening on the radio, don't worry, it's very radio friendly. Here's a taster of what you can expect.
Prince Harry's just going around people's houses, buzzing, going, "Will you be my friend?" I mean, I think that's right. It wasn't drugs or anything.
Well, they say he was practising to be a Deliveroo driver because that'll be his next
He'd
job.
be good at that, yeah.
But she also revealed that she plied the Netflix executive with that jam time after time until apparently the Netflix executive said to her, "Oh, Megan, you should turn this into a business idea." It's like sort of get off my front doorstep, thank you.
I mean, have you ever heard worse claptrap than that? My friend said the jam make me happy. What on earth is she talking about? Yeah, I think I went on to say jam does not make you happy. That's how Meghan Markle says, you know, the reason I'm marketing my jam is that I used to serve it to friends and they'd say this makes us so happy. Jam doesn't make you happy. This is ridiculous. Anyway, I digress. That's on in 24 minutes, so you won't want to miss that, will you? If you do, well, I hereby order that you don't, but if you do, it's on YouTube tomorrow as of about 9:30 a.m, and then you can watch it anytime you like for the rest of all time. So I can't say fairer than that, can I? What just happened tonight at 9 p.m. and as of 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Hope you enjoy it. I'll just read a quick message here. This is from C in Liverpool. Hi, Kev and Peter. I'm 73 and I am terrified of what this man is doing to our country. I want to leave this country as soon as possible. I just don't know where to start with him. I hate him. I tell you, it's like Jeremy Clarkson saying that. He interviewed Peter Cardwell, interviewed on Times Radio, and he said, and I think a lot of people feel like this, Jeremy Clarkson says, I don't really hate anyone, but I really hate Keir Starmer.
Yeah, it's undeniable. Like we always talk about it, that kind of sense of just tension in the country now, and it's all directed in his. It's all targeted towards him. And
you want to get hold of his lapels and go, "What are you doing, you idiot? What's the matter with you?"
Yeah,
seriously. I mean, I share C's frustrations. Quick, another message. This is from Claire in Buckley. These foreign inmates, Kev, should be deported back to their home country. Agreed. If the country of origin refuses to take them, we should do what Trump did and slap terrorists on them, or withdraw any aid or financial support that we send there. Unfortunately, it will never happen with spineless Starmer in charge. You're right, Claire. You are right. Which is sad, but good point, though. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Andy in Hull. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Kev. How you, Pete? How are you doing?
Good. What would you like to say, mate?
A couple of things on this, censorship, online safety bill, whatever they want to call it. Like I say,
it's an Online Safety Act, I'm afraid. I'm afraid it is. We've had it since last Friday, so this is the 1 week anniversary of this extremely sinister crackdown on freedom of speech. This act, we're now beginning to learn of the terrifying ramifications of this act. Sorry, I interrupted. What do you want to say, Andy?
First off, I'm 64 in a fortnight. I go to work at 6 o'clock. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to work. I work for myself. I come home sometimes 8 o'clock at night. I'm paying for all these migrants. My taxes.
Join the club, mate. We're all doing that. Yeah.
All this expenditure that this government goes out and says, we're going to give this to Gaza, we're going to give this to the Palestinians. Everything that this government spends comes out of my pocket. But I'm not allowed to have a say anymore.
So true.
This is what this government is trying to do. The censorship that's going on now is just unbelievable. I can't criticise Labour. What's going to happen at PMQs on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
If we can't criticise, everybody in the Houses of Parliament are going to be.
Andy's right, isn't he? Stick around, Andy, Pete, because what he's saying, and I couldn't agree with you more, Andy, who voted for the asylum seeker hotel system? Who voted for the Online Safety Act? Who voted? Nobody votes to have freedom of speech taken away from them, do they? Where is the democracy in this?
Oh, it doesn't exist. That's half of the problem. But one thing I will say is that what we're starting to see come front and centre is the issue of fairness. And that's what Andy's talking about here. He's paying through the nose, working his backside off.
We all are.
And we all are. We're still at work. It's 20 to 9 on a Friday. And this is the point, is that the government is going to have a real problem about answering that question. How is this fair?
It's not fair, is it?
And it's not.
Can I just say, the other side of this is that it appears to me as well, because I'm obviously from Hull, we're up north. All the grooming gangs and everything else, a lot of that started off in, obviously, Bradford and the northern towns. Keir Starmer was in charge when all that was going on. He didn't seem to be interested in child protection then.
Yeah.
He seemed to be more interested in the Muslim side of things going on then, and the Pakistani grooming gangs and covering up.
Exactly right.
Where is this online?
They're lying. They're lying, Andy. This nonsense about this is to protect children from the horrors that lurk on the internet online. that may be an aspect of this act. And by the way, it's not going to work.
No.
It's easily got round, so that's not going to work. What this is about is shutting down freedom of speech, shutting down information which puts the Labour government in a bad light. Welcome to North Korea, Andy.
Exactly. I'd rather be with King Jong-un.
Yeah.
Let's in charge than that idiot we've got in number 10.
I'm going to move to Russia just to get a taste of good old-fashioned freedom. Yeah. Seriously.
Anyway, just a quick one. We've got a friend of ours living in South Carolina, Terry, if you could give her a mention. So you're
Terry in South Carolina. Hi, Terry. I hope you're watching, listening. Thank you for tuning in. How's that, Andy? All right?
All right. Thanks.
All right, mate. Good call. Thank you very much. Andy in Hull. Here's one from Andy Mundy. I thought it said Andy Murray. I mean, he's not playing tennis anymore. He's probably watching the show. Hasn't got much to do. No, it's Andy Mundy. Andy from Abingdon here. It says, Kev, can I just ask how long do you think it will be before this useless Labour government shuts you down, as in us?
Yeah.
Well, about a week.
I'm going to say, I'm literally expecting them to come through the door at any minute, if I'm being honest.
We're laughing about it.
Yeah.
We're only 1 week into this act. We are quite well known for being critical of this government. Yeah. And this government doesn't like being criticised. And we know Keir Starmer, when he gets criticised, what he likes to do is to throw people in jail. So, Andy, I hope it doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised the way things are going. Let's take another call. I think we've got time. Let's talk to Fiona, new caller. Excellent. Always love a new caller in London. Hello, Fiona. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kev. Great show, by the way.
Thank you.
Just wanted to say that all these peaceful protests going around the country are doing nothing. The government aren't listening to us.
No, but that's true. I don't think we should criticise the protests. I mean, people...
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think they're a great thing.
Yeah.
But the only thing the government will listen to is if we stop paying our taxes. If we withhold our taxes, I am not saying don't pay the government. Let's withhold them and see what happens. Because the only thing the government are interested in is money.
Cracking down on freedom of speech. They're interested in that as well. But seriously, Fiona, I have to say to the audience, we can't encourage breaking the law. Not paying your tax is against the law. I understand your frustrations, and I wish we could think of something that would hurt this government enough to provoke them into doing something about this crisis that we want solved.
Okay.
But withholding your taxes, the problem with that, Fiona, it's against the law.
What, withholding them, just delaying them?
Because again, what you're doing is you're giving them the excuse to kind of step in. This is what's brilliant about these protests this time round. It's because they are peaceful. The government can't react to them in the way they want to react. If you look at the Southport one, because there were riots and the images of it, they had the excuse to overstep. Yeah. And now, because these ones this is why they have to ignore it. But the one thing I will say is the protests don't just affect the government; they affect opposition parties. And what we should be doing is looking at the likes of Reform and the Tories and all these other people saying, all right, you're on our side here. What are you going to do when you get in office to make sure this is reversed and never happens again? It's that next bit. Sure. It's not just affecting the government. It's, elections are coming at some point, and it's about making sure
4 years time.
4 years time, but it's about building that pressure on the people that are going to take control after this.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say, Fiona, is it's not for me to tell you what to do, but be careful about withholding your taxes, because you're going to get fined and fined and fined month by month by month, and they're unlikely to accept your excuse that you're doing this as a protest. You'll end up in big financial trouble. I don't mean to seem disparaging about your urge to try to register a serious protest, but I think you have to be careful about not paying your taxes. Do you see what I'm saying?
No. Yes, I quite understand that, Kev. Yeah. But could you do a poll to see how many people would support
I suppose it would work if we all, as a nation, agreed. You know, all 50 million taxpayers or whatever it is. That would be quite interesting. But trying to get consensus on that.
Don't do it. If you did a poll to see how many people would support this sort of
that kind of protest. Yeah. I mean, I get your point. But I think we should put some faith in. I know what you mean, that the last 2-3 weeks, these protests have been peaceful, and therefore the government doesn't feel the need to react. But I think there's going to be more and more and more of them, and I don't think that we should dismiss these protests as ineffective. I think in the end the government will have to do something. So I would encourage people to carry on protesting, but for God's sake, do it like they've done it so far, peacefully. You with me?
Yes, I do agree with that, Kev. Peaceful protests. Yeah. But I don't think Starmer's taking any notice.
I agree with that. I agree with that as well.
Publicly, he might not, but I can tell you now, there's a lot of officials running around SW1 in Westminster that are very terrified about what is happening. Yeah. And that is why you're seeing the Online Safety Act. You're seeing all these kind of things start to be put into place because of the protests, because people are starting to pay attention. What Philip Kilsley then really pointed out was actually we've been able to reframe a lot of this, so they can't just call us racist. We've got the data, we've got the evidence, we're now demanding answers. And we're seeing they're reacting to that, and we've just got to keep pushing. It's not going to change overnight, but you've got to keep the kind of perseverance of it.
Absolutely. But yeah, Pete's right, Fiona. Don't be disheartened. Although Starmer's not saying anything publicly, no, the government isn't really reacting at all. Pete is exactly right. Behind the closed doors of number 10 Downing Street and the cabinet, they are very, very worrying. These protests are having an effect. But listen, you're a new caller. That was a great call. Please call me again. Fiona, good to talk to you. Fiona in London there. Let's go to break, and when we come back, more of your calls, more of your messages, so stick around.
The people that we want knives from have knives prior to the knives amnesties. During the knife amnesty, they continue to carry their knives. After the knife amnesty, the people that are still left with the knives are those that we want the knives from. The people that hand it in are normally law-abiding members of the public that might have found a machete in their garage, unlikely to get into the hands of one of the gangs I've just told you about. So the circle goes round and round.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's do some WhatsApp voice notes. Thanks for sending them, everybody. Always appreciate it. Here's Kelvin on Kia.
You know, Keir Starmer's dad was a tool maker. I bet the Kia Spanner was one tool that bloke wish he never invented. Like we wish he never invented. Bye.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, you say that Keir Starmer's father was a toolmaker. That may be the case, but Keir Starmer likes to keep that quiet. He doesn't like to talk about it, so I'm not sure that that's true. Never stops mentioning it. I don't care your bloody dad was a tool maker, as everyone said. Yeah, we know the tool that he made as well, don't we?
I love how they never thought that through.
Yeah.
That line. They never really thought,
Our father was a tool maker.
Don't say. I mean, the line just writes itself.
Yeah, exactly. He certainly was.
Yeah.
Here's Jerry on free speech.
Kev, Jerry Fairshire. Do you know what? I am absolutely terrified that this left-wing, autocratic, nutcase government are going to come for the likes of talk, because you're the last bastion of free speech, and there's no way they're going to like what you guys say. Do you know what? I don't use social media anymore. But what I'm going to do is, I still have a Facebook account. I am going to go and say something derogatory about the government and Starmer and see if they shut my Facebook page down. Mate, keep up the great work. We depend on you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Jerry. Be careful. Be careful out there. It's dangerous. It's a jungle out there with Keir Starmer running the country. Old jackboot Keir Stasi, Keir Starlin. As for talk, you know, I don't think they'll have the guts, but if they come for us, they come for someone like me, I'm going down fighting. Don't worry about that. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Scott in Essex. Hello, Scott.
Hello. Hope your evening's going well.
It very much is. It very much is. All the better for you joining us on this excellent show. What would you like to say, mate?
I was going to repeat something that Fiona was going on before the break. But if you do it as, well, take a leaf out of American books. They had a wonderful political party, can't remember its name, something about tea, which was no taxation without representation. We have no voice anymore. Why are we paying taxes? But as you say, if we do this is what the government wants. They want to make us frustrated. They want to make us angry. So we become aggressive, at which point we fall into their hands and they can oppress us even more.
Yeah.
Your guest is right on that view.
Yeah, exactly right. Boston Tea Party you're talking about, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that one. Really nice party. Wonderful time. Lots of knees up.
It wasn't a tea party.
No, it wasn't. As an Englishman, it annoys me no
But
end.
it was in Boston.
Yeah.
But go on, mate.
There was a lot of tea floating in that harbour.
Yeah.
But if all of the marches started taking up a chant, no taxation without representation, hear our voice, we demand a general election now. If enough people...
Oh, hang on. What happened there? That was like a key moment.
Yeah.
One.
Hang on, Scott, you've got to rewind. We just lost you for about a minute. You were saying we should demand an election now. If enough people, then you went silent. So what?
No, I do apologise.
That's not your fault. It's some
sure,
sort of techno thing. Yeah, go on.
Technology is the bane of progression.
Everyone's life. You should work here.
I'm sure there is something in that constitution. Yes, the government can call an election. They can only be in power for 5 years. But if enough people raise their voice...
Yeah, if enough people... Here's what happens, Scott. I think you might have gone a bit quiet there again. If enough people raise their voice and demand an election, Keir Starmer will do exactly what he's doing to the people who are protesting about asylum seeker hotels right now. Ignore them. Ignore them. We're stuck with this lot for 4 years, Scott.
Let us not forget we had that giant petition that everybody thought was going to bring down the government less than a year ago now, and it's still there.
We're stuck with them, Scott. 4 years. 4 more years. I know. If you didn't laugh, you'd cry. But
you could do both.
Nothing we can do about it. But I appreciate your thoughts. It's worth a try, maybe, but I don't think it'll work. Scott, excellent call, though. Thanks for ringing. Scott in Essex, back to the WhatsApp voice notes. Debbie on free speech.
Good evening, Kevin and Peter. Debbie from Cornwall here. I think these secret police that are going to be scanning the internet and all of the remarks on different social media platforms, they're going to have to end up arresting probably 95% of the country. How are we going to police all of that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody said something a bit negative, either about Labour Party, about Keir Starmer, about illegal immigrants, about Islam, about Muslims. And I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to arrest every single one of us? where would they be then? Who's going to provide all the tax to pay for all of this?
Well, it's a good thought, Debbie, but here's what they do. You know, millions of us could, you know, write very disparaging things about the migrant crisis, asylum seeker hotels, Keir Starmer, the Labour government and all that. Millions of us could do that on Facebook or Twitter. And they wouldn't have to arrest all of us. What they would do, they'd make showcases. Yeah. They'd arrest 5 people, 10 people and make a big song and dance about it, just like they did last summer. And those people would get 5 years, 10 years as a warning to the rest of us. I'm afraid, as was proved last week, last year, it's a technique that does work. Yeah. That's what they do. Let's listen to our last WhatsApp voice note. This is Pat again on freedom of speech.
Hi, Kev. This is Hannah from Kent. Starmer just said to Trump, we've had free speech in this country for a long time. He didn't say, but we haven't got it anymore.
Exactly right. That's not Pat, that was Anna. Good WhatsApp voice note, Anna. Thank you very much. Totally agree. I think we've got time to just quickly squeeze in a final call because it's rather exotic and impressive. It's Mark from Vienna in Austria. Hello, Mark. What would you like to say, mate?
Hi, Kevin. I'm just going to say the word, what I said the last time to you. Yeah. Remigration now. Just put them away. Put them over to the frogs again and they should handle with it.
You know what? What do you think, Pete? I think, you know, they won't do it. Yeah. But if we had a government with resolve, looking at this catastrophic mess, and we just started doing it. We just, to hell with it. We are now going to turn these boats around and pitch them back on the French beaches, and you can deal with it, Macron. It would be very popular, and I reckon it would work.
I see, this is the problem I have with this idea, is what happens when Macron puts them back on a boat and sends them over here? What's to stop him doing that? If we're going to do it, what stops everybody else doing it? One of the great things about the international kind of arena is that it is all built on you don't do it, so I don't do it, and it's how a lot of it is kind of works.
Well,
I'd
like
my
that.
Big fear,
you know,
because it just will escalate. It doesn't fix the problem.
Yeah,
it's not
but it might. It might. It's worth a try. It'd be something.
It would be something. It would be something. But this is the thing: do you want to stop the boats or stop the migrant crisis?